Today I'm going to show you how to put a new suspension on your car, but first let me tell you a little bit about mine.
Dude, oh, it feels so good. I'm still like kind of scared that it's gonna break. Freaking. Oh yeah, I can hear the back scrubbing too. Oh, hello officer.
Welcome to Teamrocketgarage. Today we are giving a gift to my 1994 Nissan Sentra. As you know, this car was my daily driver for 3 or 4 years before I moved, bought my house, and then someone backed into it. And because of that, I didn't have the time to fix it, and it got parked in my backyard for 3 years. After all of that, we've gone through and diagnosed the engine and gotten everything taken care of, oil change, fuel injectors, some wiring repairs, and all kinds of stuff, including a new battery, wheels, and tires, just to get her back to her former glory. But that wasn't enough. We did the graphics on it, we designed them, cut them, and installed them, as well as some sweet new seats in there from an actual SCR from the junkyard. So we've got awesome Nissan seats that really hug you. Now we've got to make this bad girl handle and stop as well as an SCR in preparations for some future plans. What that entails is some SCR parts in the rear, some upgrades in the front, and as you know, we engineered new control arms for this bad girl, and I've got a whole video on that right here on my channel if you want to know how we set up all of those alignment bits and adjusted the actual factory settings. We cut the control arms and made them even better. So what we need to do is go ahead and make this car everything that I've ever said it was. Maybe I was lying at the time, but I didn't know. I just love the car so dang much. So without further ado, here's how you put a whole new suspension on your car. Hit the subscribe button.
So first off, we're going to talk about the rear suspension. The rear suspension suffers from a few drawbacks and a few benefits. The key benefit to this rear suspension is that it is simple. It's what's called a McPherson strut. I'm sure you're familiar. If you're not, you're going to be familiar by the end of this video. The McPherson strut assembly on this is essentially, and I'll just put a diagram up on the screen so you kind of have an idea of what that looks like and how that works. But the drawback here is that the control arms themselves, they don't necessarily point downward, and the shock is too long, so lifting it up is damaging and lowering it is damaging. Another drawback is the drum brakes on this. The drum brakes are incredibly small, they take very little fluid, and they're extremely reliable. They're just not very good. So we got to take care of all that. On top of that, this car is 30 years old. So it's got a ton of worn out bushings back there, which probably don't help snap oversteer and handling. But yeah, we got to knock all that stuff off of our list. So without further ado, let's jump into fixing this rear up. We are taking apart some of these Sentra parts, thanks to Daphne. Girl. One side here, one side here, and I'll show you what these break down to be. So got a whole bunch of bolts here and parts of our control arm from when we pulled these out of the junkyard. Makes it a lot easier. So this is the this is the driver's side rear disc brake conversion for my Nissan Sentra, and this will be one of the two things that we do to the rear of the Sentra to make my Sentra handle better. We're essentially just doing an SCR conversion. This plus the sway bar later. So you can see here it's got a disc caliper right there. Not a huge massive deal, but a big upgrade over the drums and lighter than the drums as well. We've got new rotors. These calipers, they can't be replaced. AutoZone doesn't have them. You can rebuild them, but you cannot get them unless you get them off of a car that already has them. So they don't manufacture them, they don't remanufacture them. Bad way to be. But these wheel bearings are in good shape. We need to rebuild these bad girls. So there's bushings all throughout, and then we've got the energy suspension polyurethane bushings, so we get ultimate control back there. But we got to take these bad boys apart so this can look like this, and then we can do all of our bushings. There's our arm. And then our nut went running off somewhere. Where did it go? Did you see it? Oh, there it is. Thanks for helping. This big bolt here goes all the way through, and it's actually rusty inside here. So we got to break this side loose here, pop this off, and then we'll break this loose and kind of unscrew it because this is going to be rusted in. All right, here we go. Key enough. Seems like everything down here is a 22. So actually we're going to start on this side. Other side loose here. So I'm going both ways to see if I can break it loose. It seems to be going. We just want to wiggle it left and right until it breaks loose. And then keep an eye out on that. I don't want to put my finger right there and get chopped. These bushings are freaking on there. Let's try something else here. What we'll do is we'll take this, grab on right there, see if we can, oh, holy cow. You see that twisting, but it's not busting loose from there. This might have to sit in some PB blaster for a little bit. Let's try the other one here. Nope. That one's real corroded on there. That's no good. So, you can see how rough this one is compared to the one that was on the other side. This one's real rough. So, we've got it rotating in this iron here, but it's stuck to these bushings, and I don't want to burn these out. So, I don't want to have to light these on fire to get them out of there. So, we will, we're just going to go ahead and give this some PB blaster. We'll start working on some other stuff. These didn't give me much trouble at the junkyard, so just blasting them off. And then a real cool dude, didn't speak English, but I said, and I don't speak Spanish, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I said 17 wrench, 17 wrench, and then he gives me an 11/16. He goes, same. And I was like, aight then. Now we'll go ahead and pop this brake caliper here off. Got one, and there we go. And then I'm just gonna put these, actually just throw them in a pile of stuff here. And then this, we can review at a later point. It's got okay pads on it. They're disgusting, but they got a lot of stuff on them. Like, look how disgusting that is. We're gonna bring these back. I heard a cool life hack about these bushings, and I'm gonna try it real quick. So what you do is you drill into the bushing like this, and then it goes around and it breaks the bushing free. There we go. And then we can throw a little PB blaster in there. Screwdriver dealio here. Come on, drill, you can do it. Hey, well, the drill didn't do it, but I did through the power of friendship. All right, cool. Look at that. We got some progress here. Whoa. Oh yeah. Okay, heck yeah, buddy. Take this, we can put it on there, and then use that while the bolt is rotating to kind of push it out. All right, there we go. Let's see if that'll just, there we go. All right, I guess the most important is getting this bleeder screw off, because if that breaks in there, we are super duper screwed. It's a 10. All right, we're gonna go nice and slow with this. Whoops. Go, maybe we can use this guy. Nice, smooth left hand motion here. Hey, all right, we got it. So I'm kind of in the middle of this right now, but this is kind of a before. This part was right next to this part. In fact, both of these were bolted onto the same piece, the brake caliper. Look how nice and clean. Anyways, these are gonna go in as soon as we finish the other drag link. Boom. Hey, Daff.
A clean workspace is a clean mind. It'll get dirty like all minds, but you never start dirty and end clean, so start clean and end up dirty. By the way, I really like making these videos for you guys, so if you like these videos as well, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and thanks for watching.
Piece of wood kind of all up in the spot here. We just need to have access over here. And then we can get a jack stand and wiggle the car around. That's not too bad.
A little safety and convenience hack is to slide the tire under the car right next to, so if your jack and jack stands fail, it's got somewhere to land.
Before we head over to the other side, let's get some PB Blaster on here. These rusty parts here are going to be heck to get off. Next up, we're going to, oh my gosh, there's stuff all over this. Well, we've got all this stuff oiled up. Let's go ahead, give her a few minutes to boil in there, and yeah, we're gonna get the wrenches out, start turning some rusty bolts. I think we'll start with the sway bar and the end links there. Tough thing to work on. We've got our sway bar here. There we go. All the way out. We want to work on the stuff that's the hardest to break loose, that's like farthest outward. So things that are connected to the body, we want to disconnect last because I need these control arms. this is at a little bit of an angle. 10. Perfect. So this guy right here, we're watching to make sure we don't break this line. We don't want to break that off. So we're gonna rock it. There we go. There we go. There we go. Now we just got to do that 3 more times, and then we can put these in the sandblaster, clean them up, and then we'll be able to paint them, put the car back together. This control arm, I messed it up by holding it with a napkin when the paint wasn't dry already. I thought the paint was dry enough to the touch, but it's stuck on there. So anyways, that'll wear off over time, but it's just ugly for now. There we go. And then this should, yep, just like that, hold itself up, and you can actually see it kind of, see, no problem. All right, next one is this alignment bolt. I think I'm gonna grease this one, not on the bolt itself, but on the sides, because it actually like rubs against this keying right there. Grease on this guy right here. Oh, there we go. That on. It, but the sway bar is in. We just need to tighten the end link here, and we'll be pretty much done, ready to do bleeding and alignment, and we'll be ready to put this back down on the ground to make this a disc brake rear car. Super duper exciting. I can hear the new brakes kind of scraping back there. All right, so this is typically a really bumpy road. Go over this bump. Okay, yeah, I mean the bump is there, but before it was a big boom. This time it's like, yeah, I'm hitting bumps on purpose. Okay, it's a little more harsh there. Go over some bumps here. Okay, not too shabby, not too shabby. So through here I can do 50 or so, and it feels pretty okay. We'll get a little tap. So here we go, 35, 40. Okay, wow, yeah, I think we need a little more compliance in the front, which is kind of the goal for the next
the next part of stuff, but like this car, wow, oh my gosh. Oh, trying not to like, it's a little like, I might even do a little toe in the back just to give it a little safety. I don't know, it feels a hair unpredictable. I am a little scared of it, but then again, we did just get it off the jack, so. Yep, track straight, super straight, look at me go. Dang, dude, I align this with my own two hands. Look at this thing. Dude, that's... Damn, dude. Look at me go. This thing... Arrow straight, dude. Freaking go me, man. Tape measures and Amazon tools. We paid less in stuff on Amazon to buy the stuff to do this alignment, and... Dang all, I am freaking ecstatic right now. And rain's coming soon, so I'm really excited to kind of try the, you know, drive the car in the rain, because rain just gives, it's lubrication for your wheels and tires, you know? So it'll give me an ability to check the balance of this car in the rain at a slower speed, and just, you know. So, all right, hopefully none of these people are getting off here. All right, so I usually can go into this pretty comfortably at 50, and my speedo reads high, so here's 40. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, this car is about to be, oh, dude, I was not expecting this much from the rear. And also, like, dude, these freaking, oh yeah, I can hear the back scrubbing too. Oh, hello, officer. Do not pull me over. What's he doing? What are you doing back there? Nothing? Okay, he didn't see me. All right, so, oh gosh, I'm scared. I'm scared because this is all new parts. 40. Oh yeah, oh my gosh, this is great. I know these cars have a tendency to snap oversteer though, so I am a little timid, but this is incredibly like consistent right now. I can feel the back end reacting, and the front end's a little soft, which is exactly what you'd expect for some poly bushings back, stock bushings up front. Oh my gosh.
Now that we've taken care of the rear end of the Sentra, we've got the front to worry about. Now, the front of this car is what a lot of people would consider poorly designed, but I don't think it's necessarily poorly designed, it's just simply designed. This was leading class power and also leading class ride. This had a better ride than the Honda Civic, and it had more horsepower. In fact, this base model had, I think, about the same horsepower as the SI of the same, well, of like the 91 when this generation came out. But so we've got brakes to address. There's rubber lines on there, not super good. And then we've also got suspension geometry to address. So there's a few parts that go into that. All right, it's morning time. We've been driving the Sentra right there for a few weeks, and the back end is pretty figured out. So what we've got to do is jump onto the front end of the Sentra. So without further ado, let's hop into that. If you like this kind of video, hit that subscribe button, like it, and then comment below what kind of car you've got. To give you a breakdown on what we're actually doing today, we're rebuilding the front end of the Sentra, but we're using modified parts to increase roll center, camber gain, and also caster, which is non-adjustable on this car. So this is the first car in the world, first Nissan Sentra that I'm aware of that's going to have over 1 degree or 2 degrees of caster. We're going to go all the way to 4.5, see how that plays out, and if we need to, we can create new control arms that will allow for increased caster in the front even further from there. So I'm really excited about that. This is what those control arms look like. If you want to know more about that, check this video out right here, and I'll show you how I built these. We've got our caster adjustment bushings here from Whiteline. Great product, and it helps add a little bit of caster by rotating that control arm. We've got a couple of energy suspension bushings as well, some polyurethane stuff, upgraded sway bar bushings, and some stainless steel braided lines for the brakes to give us some real good pedal feel. So let's jump into it.
Before you lift your car up, it's a good idea to break the lug nuts loose. Don't take them off, just make sure they'll turn easily once you're up in the air.
Now that we've got the wheels and tires off, we've got the vehicle properly secured, we can go ahead and start going under here. Everything is pretty grungy and a little bit rusty on the other side even. Look at that, real gross. So we are going just like the rear. We're taking everything out except for the coilover, and we can also leave the CV axle. Let's go ahead, let's get these brakes off here. We'll get the hose disconnected, and then we'll start working on tie rods. But first, we're gonna hit it all with PB Blaster. That way we end up with bolts that are easy to take off. And unlike your mom, we're not stripped.
PB Blaster works by penetrating rusty parts and lubricating the filthy innards, allowing us to bust nuts in a way that's good and not bad.
Don't want any of that getting on the road with me. No good. All right, so we got to pop these CV axles. So the car back down on the ground, we got the tire touching the ground and a really big breaker bar. This is a 32 millimeter, and it's a little bit rusty too. So hopefully this bad girl pops. Let's go. I prefer to push down. Little less effort. All right. Oh, yeah, there we go. We can undo our control arm bushing bracket here. This thing will come out, and there's a bushing inside of there that's really disgusting and hard to get off the control arm. However, we've got new bushings and new control arms, so we don't have to worry about that part. Let's just go ahead and pop this bracket off, and we'll hop to. These suspension parts are really tight. Oh! Let's take care of this guy next, and that should be enough for us to get our spindle all the way out. Oh gosh. Oh. Oh yeah. It might all just fall out on my arm, honestly. Hey, there's a tie rod still hooked up right here. Oh, right there. So this thing's holding the whole apparatus in there. Let's see if we can maybe pop that out of the way, huh? Nice. Look at us go. All right. So there's our control arm, and honestly, that ball joint is making some noise, so that's no good. Now we can work on this ball joint here, and we'll have everything taken apart. Take this here. Get these straight. These pliers are in plier need of replacement. Little trick for you.
All right. Just a little more here. Nice. See if we can climb this out. Hey. We've got our spindle right here. We just need to pop our brake caliper bracket off of here so we can sandblast it, paint it, and then we'll start throwing this thing together. Now that we're done with the disassembly of the front end here, let's go ahead and recondition those brake parts so they look nice. We want them to match the rear calipers, and then we're gonna go ahead and start throwing this bad girl together. She's gonna handle.
Years ago, when I first started attempting to make this car handle, I was shopping for the easy way. So I bought a set of coilovers from Taiwan, where they race these cars regularly. TDMI was a leading supplier of parts for these cars and now supports many, many other cars. When I installed these parts near 7 years ago, I had some idea on how much I was impacting the car, but I had no clue I was doing it in the wrong direction. When you lower a McPherson strut type suspension, you end up with an improper control arm angle. This is slightly remedied by camber plates, but I had created a car that was clumsy and difficult to drive. This is because of camber gain. If certain ratios are incorrect, you'll actually lose camber while turning and the car will fall over on the tire every time. Embarrassing and not fair to the legacy of Nissans everywhere. The front end of the Sentra only allows for static camber and toe in or out adjustment. Caster is essentially non-existent and no one really makes parts for this car. So I took it upon myself to re-engineer some of the parts that caused the car to be outperformed by the likes of a Honda Civic. I researched the alignment differences between the two cars and found that the Sentra has far less caster, a term I'm familiar with. In some serious sports cars like the Corvette, Integra, and BMW 3 Series, those cars run as much as 7 degrees or more caster, and my humble little Nissan came from the factory with 1 degree and that's it. I continued to research and found a few products that would help. Whiteline makes a rear offset bushing that aids in caster, giving a whopping 1.5 degrees, and supposedly you can get coilover top hats that allow for caster improvement. But all of this work to end up with an alignment setting still sub Honda Civic. That's not okay. My car has endlessly given and carried me to street racing victories with foes such as a Chevy Silverado and a Toyota Prius who didn't know I was racing them. It deserves more, so I found a set of new control arms and set out to modify them in a way that would aid in more caster and more camber gain. I aim to change the ball joint mounting position, allowing more caster. I'll install a roll center adjuster kit to assist with control arm angle here as well. While I'm rebuilding the front end, I'll save it further embarrassment by also replacing the inner tire rods and all the other bushings at the same time.
Now, I have been meaning to tell you guys this for quite a while. I've got a secret for how to keep my hands clean. Now, look at how dirty those are. Now, we can hit these with dish soap. It does a pretty good job, but then you got stuff kind of down there in the nails. I work an office job and I have a wife. So, I'm gonna show you how to get your hands spick and span using my plan. So firstly, use warm water. No sense suffering for no reason, but before you do all of this rinsing and everything, you're gonna use a secret WD-40. This stuff works amazing. Now, WD-40 is an oil-based product. I think it's based on fish oil, not totally sure, but now you'll see that it's not really coming off. The reason for that is because it's oil-based. We still have to wash the oil off. So, bunch of freaking dish soap. Oh yeah, look at that. There we go. Look at that. Not too shabby. In fact, I can even use one of my wife's white towels to dry my hands off because they're actually clean. Look at that. Nothing. This is the carrier for that rear bushing for the control arm, and it's got this disgusting rust stuff on it, and it's there's a layer of it here that has to be taken off. I just sprayed this with PB Blaster. It's pretty rusty and gross. It's keeping this rubber on here. I'm just gonna show you how I tap it off with a screwdriver. So we're not gonna go too There we go. Not too shabby. Hey, that was easy. Not too shabby. All right, so I want to see if we can get these coilovers balanced, and then we're going to install this lower control arm. That way everything can kind of go in place of that. We're going to leave the factory tie rods there. They're still in good shape, and I trust these older OEM tie rods over an aftermarket tie rod from, like, say, AutoZone, O'Reilly, Napa. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just get into this.
Installation is the reverse of the removal, but these are aftermarket parts from different companies, and the control arm I modified has never been tested. So we're facing some issues. The sway bar is now about an inch away from the control arm mounting point, and the new bushing isn't flexing as much as the old one. I'll have to take this into consideration when I make the version 2 prototype. After the control arm is in, I can connect the spindle to the 2J Racing roll center correction ball joint.
Now these cotter pins, you want to make sure that they can't like rotate over, because the CV axle is going to be right here. We don't want this tearing on that or anything. So yeah, got all the caster, everything is Gucci. Look at that right there. That's no good. We're gonna have a problem with that soon. Oops. It wants to go this way. Coil over. Let's see, this is where engineering comes in. The coil over the bracket for the brake line is actually contacting there, so we won't be able to run a ton of camber without that hitting. See that? That's no good. So what we're gonna do is we'll actually cut that edge off there, and hopefully that'll give us the clearance that we need. The sharp point right there I'm gonna have to take care of. Cool, let's see how it goes. Yep, it's still rubbing over there. I think that we're not going to be running maximum camber anyways, but so these go underneath, because typically the tie rod goes on top. So we take this here, pop these sleeves off. This goes on top, and get it man, I wonder how far this actually comes out. I think we go sleeve like that, and then like this, because we want our tie rod to be kind of at, if there's flat and then the control arm, we want the tie rod to be that middle spot right there. So the tie rod is at a noticeable angle, like it should be straight, but it is moved forward. That will affect our Ackerman, but I'm hoping not too much. Now the bump steer I had before was fairly rough because of a really dramatic tie rod angle, so I still think this will be an improvement. I have been considering some alternatives to that as well, mainly some sort of like rack spacer that pushes the rack out a little bit to assist with this, but kind of figure that out. Engineering, right? All right, cool. So we've got our setup here. Essentially, we just need to throw the brake line in here, I think, and then we're about ready to move on to the other side. Now we just got to get that brake caliper on and the sway bar links, and I'm pretty sure we're ready to bleed the brakes, do an alignment. Pretty excited. Nice. Make sure when you put these on, that bleeder screw right there, it's on top, otherwise it'll never bleed right. Cool. Good to go. So, last thing we gotta do is just go ahead and reinstall this guy right here. And his job is to go in there. Now remember, this spot had not a lot of clearance, so we'll wanna test that while the wheel's off. It's crazy, you can actually see it sits a little farther forward, which is really cool. That's it, the Sentra's front end is done. Let's hop on to finishing the brakes and getting the alignment done on this bad girl. I've got to get to work tomorrow. So what we're working on right now is the master cylinder. Now, these cars have one heck of a funky looking master cylinder with 4 outlets. So that's like front, right, rear, front, I don't know. So it's kind of broken up and the proportioning valve is built in. Anyways, we've got an SER brake master cylinder here. So we'll go ahead, get it in the car, and then we're gonna try and have this thing gravity bleed. So you go ahead and get to that. We've got a brand new bottle, sealed, synthetic Prestone DOT3. So let's go ahead and get this on the car. There's a couple of things that need to be considered when you're replacing a brake master cylinder. One of those is that brake fluid is extremely bad for your paint and other parts on your vehicle and your skin. So don't have a bummer, use a rubber. Let's roll. We're gonna need this in just a second so we can soak up any leaking brake fluid, but we'll go ahead and put this in here. We're gonna leave the little stoppers in here for now. We can use them to help us with bleeding later. So we'll go ahead and bring this down through here. One thing to note is that this is kind of a tight little spot here, but we can go, there we go. Nice The brake booster has 2 bolts on it, and after you slide the master cylinder over that, there's a small bracket that holds the fuel filter in place as well. That's what I'm putting on right here, so don't forget that if you're following along at home.
We'll just put these on here. Now, I'm a big fan of having an easy life here, and I don't want to drop this, so... This is where you want to be real extra careful. All right. Now we're just going to let this sit here and eat. We'll check on it in a bit. Let these top ones bleed themselves.
The next day.
All right, so I am in the Sentra, and this is my inaugural drive. I test drove it around the block, tightened a few things, and here we are. So this is me driving on the street on control arms that I engineered and welded and installed. I'm not so worried about that last part, but the the welding part freaks me out. Just the way it's designed is not ideal, so I think it creates kind of like a break point for, you know, in the instance that I was in like a crash or, you know, hit something really hard. So I'm off to work right now. We're gonna see how we're gonna see like kind of how it feels, how it does, and then we can inspect stuff as well. The car seems to ride about as normal. I think it rides a little better just because of the roll center adjusters, and I intend on raising the front about 2 more inches. It is kind of nose stink buggy, nose heavy looking, but that's just because of the front is just too low. Kind of that raked look was the popular thing, and obviously like we've engineered that that's not like the normal thing. So yeah, actually over these bumps it does ride a lot better. Yeah, the front doesn't feel any stiffer or different. We'll see. I've just driven it. I haven't even gone like 40 miles an hour yet, but going around like turns and stuff, well, hell yeah. Going around like turns and stuff, it does feel a little more direct. I think it's going to, we've got a little bit of work ahead of us as far as kind of feeling how it, dude, that thing's so, look at that. Damn, dude, fucking slammed that Tahoe. I think we have a little bit of work to do to like find out, but like, yeah, it feels like the pivot axis of the car has moved forward quite a bit. So like as I'm just like wobbling back and forth, it kind of feels, honestly, feels like my wife's Miata, not in that it handles well, but in that it kind of drags that rear around. So you turn and the rear starts to go instead of the front, which means that the front tires have a lot of responsibility that have been taken off of them. So yeah, just kind of open mind thinking. Engineering is a lot of work, but after these control arms geometry kind of proves themselves, we will kind of figure out from there. I was worried about steering difficulty, right? Like how difficult it would be to steer, just because this has kind of a weak hydraulic pump for the steering anyways, but haven't noticed a big difference for that. I am worried about like steering bind and like the tie rod, like when it like connects to like the knuckle, the tie rod has the ability to like it's just way too flat. So like my concern is that if I'm at like full lock, the tie rod could go the other way,
and then it would lock the tire out in the outward direction, which is scary. So yeah, I don't know, this dude behind me is flashing his lights. But yeah, I mean, we will kind of just see how it goes. I'm just gonna keep driving and head on into work, and we will continue to engineer the best handling Sentra in the world. Also the longest wheelbase two-door Sentra in the world. This now has a wheelbase that I believe is 1.5 inches longer than stock, which is actually like a little bit wacky. So yeah. Oh, hey, Josh, dude. Anyways, dude, it's a popular road going on here, but yep, I'm gonna turn on the music, turn on the heater, and just enjoy the drive. Comment below what you think we should do to this to resolve some of the suspension issues. If you're an engineer or anything and you see stuff that I'm doing, tell me if I'm like a total idiot. I'm just thinking it out, you know? All right, we got train tracks. Oh, don't break. Oh, okay, that's my welds. They didn't break. Okay. Oh, I'm nervous. Oh, hey, look at that. All right, I am freaking enamored, dude. Oh, it feels so good. I'm still like kind of scared that it's gonna break, but dang, dude. I'm like just going around turns, and then like you go like a little wide and then shoot it over, and oh my gosh, it feels so good. I don't know if it's Honda level. I cannot tell you that yet, but this is the best this car's ever felt. Even better than stock, and we're lower. And oh gosh, I went the wrong direction for so many years, and I can't believe I'm here. I am just, dude, I'm just blasting the music. I'm just buzzing around. Oh, dude, this is amazing. This is amazing. I cannot wait. I want to put some miles on these parts, and then I'm going to engineer. I'm going to sell these, dude. If you want a B13 Sentra, I'll put a link in or a B13 Sentra caster kit. I'll put a link in the description once I've actually put it to market. But dude, this is a game changer. I cannot understate how this makes the car feel. This is the best. I can't even. Anyways, I'm gonna get back to driving. I'm almost to work, so I'm gonna crank the music here.
Underneath the stars where the night is cold, in the dark of night the demons hide bold. A dance of shadows with the rising sun, whispers in the dark, a battle to be won. My eyes wide open, heart starts to pound. In the time of darkness, fear makes a sound. When the sun descends and the shadows creep, whispers in the dark coming from the deep. Whispers in the dark, a challenge and a call. Break through the fear, let us stand tall. Through the darkest nights, we'll face every fear. Whispers in the dark are always starts to pound. In the time of darkness, fear makes a